In today's video, we're gonna take a trip down memory lane, and that trip is gonna take us to 2015. Remember that time where makeup was so fun, it was so glam, it was so over the top. I mean, it was like ultra glam. Layers and layers and layers of glam. We did smoky eyes, we did carved out brows, we did block brows, we did liquid lipstick. We put so much highlight on our cheeks that it weighed our cheeks down. I'm talking that kind of glam. I'm gonna do a side-by-side of how I used to do my makeup, not my client's makeup, but my personal makeup back in 2015 versus how I do it now. Now, before I show you the pictures of my makeup back in 2015, because I'm going to tease it a little bit longer because I'm a little bit hesitant to show you what I looked like back in 2015, I had blonde hair, so make sure you're sitting when I show you these photos. Before I do that, I want to share with you a couple of the products that are actually products I used to use back in 2015 and products that I used to love, products I remember the most using, and they were like my ride or dies of 2015. Now, I couldn't, of course, remember all the products I used to use offhand, but I did remember a good chunk, okay? And some of which I had to purchase. Like this MAC Studio Fix Pro Set and Blur. This used to be called something different. It used to be called like MAC Prep and Prime Loose Powder, I believe. I used to buy these by the box full, like literally cartons of this powder. This was the jam for me because I wanted to be matte with a capital M. I wanted no shine other than the glitter in my tear duct, which you'll see in a second. So this was a staple in my life, as was this palette from CL. CL was launched, I believe, in 2015, or maybe it was 2014, somewhere around there, somewhere back when, you know, full glam, Instagram kind of glam was having its moment. That's when CL launched. They're female owned. This palette was the palette to get. And it is such a beautiful palette that I still think is beautiful to this day. I've still used it up until recently. Very warm, necessary colors to build up an eye makeup look. All matte. I also dug out of my makeup archives, makeup trenches. Now, please skip ahead if you get easily grossed out, but this palette is actually from, does that say the actual year? It must be 2014. Has to be. Minimum, this is from 2014. This is my original Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette. Are you ready? I told you if you're squeamish, skip ahead. Wow. Can you tell which colors I like the most? Obviously the ones that I hit pan on the quickest. Wow. Look at her. She's a beauty. She's filthy. She was very well loved. Doesn't smell like anything. Now, am I going to put this on my eyes? Possibly. Are you going to judge me for it? You might. Am I worried about getting an eye infection? Not at all. But we'll get to that. So those are my eyeshadows. I also busted out one of my staples back in the day. Absolute holy grail staples. This is the Glitter and Glow from Stila. This is the shade Kitten Karma. Kitten Karma, you could not pry from my hands. Like, you could not get this from my hands because it was like my favorite glitter product ever. And then we have a couple other things. We'll get to those in a bit, but I did want to just give you that little teaser because the products I pulled for this video are super fun and just crazy nostalgic to me. Crazy nostalgic. So suddenly it's 2015. All right, now to achieve this side by side, I'm gonna be drawing a line down the center of my face. Let's take a deep breath together. Let's hope and pray that I get a nice straight line. We'll do the best that we can. So I'm gonna take this Makeup Forever pencil, and this is what we call good enough. Let's move on. And now without further ado, let me show you what my makeup looked like back in the year 2015. Okay, so here's a couple. Here is one of the looks that I'm going to be doing today. Look at that. Blonde fried hair. You can't tell with the tips. My hair is actually like lavender. And my hair was fried. Like, I'm not trying to be mean to myself, but my hair was truly fried. I was not meant to be a blonde. I was born with dark brown hair. My hair does not want to be blonde, okay? But here I was in all its glory. Look at that ombre. Look at my dark brown roots and my blonde hair. So I did not know bronzer, apparently. I loved me a dark smoky eye. I loved me some black eyeliner smudged out on the bottom, which is exactly what we're gonna do today. And let me show you a couple more photos. Here's me at a photo shoot like a million years ago. I'm this girl, not this girl. This girl's beautiful. I did her makeup, but this is me. And then here's another favorite, and this is exactly the same makeup look as that other one, just like slightly different lip. So we're gonna be doing this look as well. So same thing, you know, like the heavy black smoky bottom lash line, the blocky carved out brows, very low placement of that blush. I mean, look at that bad boy, dragging my cheek down to my butt. And on my lip, I loved me a nude lip, and I loved me a matte lip, and I loved me a nude matte liquid lipstick. So I have some that I'm going to be popping on today, and I think these will fit the bill. Maybe either one of them or both. I don't know. One's from KVD, one is from NARS. I think the NARS one's going to be the one that fits the bill the most. And then I have a lip liner that I know for a fact I'm wearing in one of those pictures, if not both. Oak lip liner from MAC Cosmetics was my ride or die. I bought so many Oak lip liners, I could have invested stock in Oak lip liner. Not to mention this, like I mentioned, but I digress. Let's get a lip treatment on me because my lips are feeling dry as the desert. I'm gonna do a little bit of this Dennis Gross lip treatment just so I can at least have some moisture and comfort on my lips as I start this very interesting journey that we're going to be on. So I need to pull this picture one more time. I need to really study these brows because these brows are going to throw me for a loop. Now, one thing I used to do is use the Anastasia Dip Brow. I found this in like the depths of my makeup drawers and my makeup like archives. I used to use chocolate apparently, and this is dried up completely, but for the sake of this video, we'll be using something very similar. I picked up the Color Tattoo Studio from Maybelline, or Tattoo Studio from Maybelline. This is the brow pomade from them, and it even comes with a angled brush, so let's use this up. I got the shade Deep Brown, which I guess was a good color to get. I don't know, I feel like my brows are a little lighter than that in this video, or in this picture. Gonna dip into the Maybelline Dip Brow. God, I haven't used this technique in quite literally probably 10 years, or I guess less. I was probably doing this technique still in like 2016. And what I remember, I went straight under and feathered it up. Definitely curved those suckers down. That is a rounded downward tail that are what my nightmares are made of now. So back in 2015, it was the trend to have it very like fluffed up here. Not fluffed up, but like more diffused, more blended out. And then the tail, like from the arch to the tail, it was like block solid, fully pigmented, no lines of separation, no like fine little detailed hairs drawn on. It was like just stamped on. So inside right now I am screaming, but we got to do it for the video. Okay, it looks kind of close. I mean, ish. In fact, I'm gonna actually go into this little bad boy that it comes with because I need this clean spoolie on the other end to be able to blend out and diffuse this. That's the ticket. I'm gonna add a bit more. Wow, I really did that, huh? All right, my friends, now we're gonna swap to 2025, my current situation, how I currently do my makeup. Now, this side of my face is not gonna be product focused. It's gonna be more technique focused because honestly, there's a couple products that you're gonna see from my 2015 pile that I still love and adore to this day. We'll get to those when we get to those, but it's nothing to do with those products specifically. And with the products I'm using now, it's really gonna be the technique, obviously, because the techniques have changed quite a bit. I am in love with the Clean Fresh Brow from CoverGirl. This is such an easy product to use. It's such a great way to fluff up my brows, get a nice natural fluffy look, get them to look fuller and thicker, but not blocky, and it offers really great hold. So this is a really great way for me to make my brows look fuller in a really soft, more natural way. Like, look how like fluttery and like pretty those are. I'm gonna do a little bit more and just fluff these up. Now, to dry this down a little bit quicker so I can go in with my brow pencil, I'm gonna take a little bit of the Makeup by Mara loose powder on my N13 brush. Really small amount just to dry this down. So when I go in with my pencil, I have a nice amount of grip and it's not like a slip and slide kind of effect. Now I'm gonna go in with a new favorite pencil from Rivi Beauty. My friend Allie Glines, she launched these brow pencils and they are fantastic. Very thin, fine tip, but not so fine that you can't, get in there and get the job done. So I wear the shade Ebony, stop my brows about there, fill in a few sparse areas just lightly. Light touch, more modern, a lot softer for being, 10 years older. When you're looking back, you just can't do your makeup the same way for the rest of your life. You have to change and adapt your routines. Now, prime example of how you should adapt and change with how your skin is changing and how you're aging. Like, I obviously used to do this makeup when I was 10 years younger. 10 years makes a really big difference on your face. And your body, everything, mentally. I've changed. I'm a completely different person from this person right here. Completely different life, completely different husband. Like, quite literally, I have a completely different life. Anyway, I digress. Like, you should be changing, adapting your makeup techniques and your placement to go and fit with the face that you're in at that moment, right? So like, my brows are a lot lower than they were back then. I had a lot more wiggle room. I had a lot more brow space, like eyelid space. My brows, 10 years later, my forehead is a lot lower. It's dropped a lot. My eyelids have dropped significantly. So if I walked around with this kind of brow, man, it would just not be the best idea for me. It just is what it is. So much more flattering for my now 39-year-old face. This at 29, I guess it was still kind of cute, but looking back, I really wish I could have changed my brows. That's for darn sure. All right, we're gonna do some eyeshadow primer and some eyeshadow carving out. And for that, my friends, I loved this product so much. This is the shade Vanilla. This is the LA Girl Pro Conceal HD High Definition Concealer. Now, these are so cheap, like unbelievably inexpensive. They still are, but back in the day when I used to buy these, they were really unbelievably affordable. So what I'm going to do is squeeze some out on the top of my hand. I'm going to grab the Angie Han Flashy A505 brush, and we are going to carve out this brow. And listen, this is something I still do this day, but not in this extreme of a way. Now, what makes this technique extreme is the contrast between my really heavy dark brows and this really light concealer. Like I mentioned, I still do this technique, but I have modernized it. I have softened it up, but it's still a really great technique if I'm being fully honest with you, because if you have sparse brows and you need to like really clean up your brows, define them without having to put so much brow product and like pencil in, this is a really great way to do so and to really kind of map out the shape. Still holds up, just not this extreme. So that side is on. I'm gonna switch over to my NARS Soft Matte Concealer. Let me wipe off the excess product. This is in the shade Custard. I take a really small amount of this product and I just clean up like you see me do all the time. And again, it's a really great technique. It still holds up to this day. You know, you don't need a ton of product to do this. You don't need to pair it with a really dark, defined, heavy brow like on this side. So if you do it in a more modern way and you really properly blend out the edges, like I said, it's still a really fantastic technique. Whatever's left over, I'm just going to blend out and down like that. Let's close up that bad boy. Now let's move on to actual eyeshadow primer. I was obsessed, still am, still use it, still love it. Painterly Paint Pot from MAC. This was a staple, holy grail product in my life for many, many years. And again, like I said, I recently repurchased it. I'm revisiting it and it still holds up to be an amazing eyeshadow base. If you have oily eyelids, a product like this is going to be so phenomenal. The bonus of this product too is it does have some coverage to it. So if you have discoloration on your eyelids, if you have visible veins and you want to do like a 2-in-1 type product, they make different shades as well. Some for deeper skin tones, some that are even lighter. And this is going to be great for not only priming your eyelids, but really helping to reduce any creasing. It helps with shine control throughout the day. So if you have really greasy eyelids, this is a game changer. I mean, you can use a really small amount to make it nice and natural, or you could pack it on like I used to do in 2015. Check that bad boy out. I'm scaring myself right now. Now, nowadays, I love to do a tinted eyeshadow base. I love like that one and done swipe of color. And one of my favorites as of recently is Cashew from Armani. I also love the Merit eyeshadow cream in the shade Vachetta. I love my Maybelline Color Stay in Urbanite. I love my Victoria Beckham cream eyeshadow. I love my Vive shadow sticks in like a nice soft color. So there's so many different options now that I love to use. But a tinted eye base is really just so quick, so easy, and very, very flattering. And it allows me to wear a lot less eyeshadow in my crease while still getting a nice defined eye look. It's just not too heavy. So I'm blending it out with my clean N16 brush. I like to use a tapping motion to kind of lock it onto my eyelids to really get it to adhere to my eyelids. And then I softly blend out the edges just like that. Look how pretty that is. It's less ghostly. It's less intense. It's just a really soft look. And honestly, some days I just throw bronzer on top of this, a little eyeliner, some mascara, and I'm good to go. And I feel really put together and really pretty. Now on this eye, we're gonna now dive into an actual eyeshadow palette. I'm gonna be busting out the Minimalist palette from LC. This is the original one, and it's a very warm tone palette, okay? From what I remember, it looks like I have a very light brow highlight, and then all my colors are like focused in the outer corner of my crease, and of course across the crease. So I'm gonna start with my N12 brush. I'm gonna dip into this really light shade, and we're gonna lock this area in. And this is definitely something that I used to do back in the day. I wanna say I used to do this with a 219 brush from MAC, one of my absolute favorite brushes of all time from MAC. Could not do makeup without that brush. So we're going to use this and just set and brighten both the inner corner. Really lay this down. I think I'm going to do a little bit in here too. It's, you know, it's kind of hard to tell. I've always had somewhat hooded eyes. It's hard to tell like exactly what my eyelid color looks like because I'm wearing such big lashes that I can't really quite tell. But I do remember the technique of my eyeliner, so I'm definitely gonna be doing that in a bit. I'm gonna switch now to my N13 brush. I'm gonna dip into this next transition shade, and this is gonna be a very warm brown. So I'm gonna add this starting in the outer corner of my eye. And I really brought this out, like out towards my temple. I'm gonna go across the crease just a bit. Now, I know for a fact I used to do a gel eyeliner, like a black gel eyeliner. I used to love Inglot, the 77 classic black liner. I don't have that anymore, and I should have picked it up for this video, to be quite honest. So we're going to be using a pencil instead, and probably a little bit of liquid liner as well. But first, let's build this up was definitely very intense. It was a very, very intense eye. Bringing a bit on the bottom lash line as well. I would love to go back and just be a fly on the wall and watch me do my makeup back in 2015. And it's so funny because, you know, even looking back, it doesn't feel like it was that long ago. But at the same time, it feels like millions of years ago, not just 10 years ago. It's a really weird feeling. Like it's, I don't know, time is such a thief. It's so strange. Now, same brush, I'm gonna dip now into this deeper, also very warm tone brown and layer this in the outer corner. Start to build up the intensity as I go. Listen, this is going to be a pretty eye makeup look. It's just a matter of like what you pair it with, because the combination of like the heavy blocky brows, the really nude lip, the low placement of the blush, the zero shine on the rest of my face, and you know, it's like it's like a lethal combination. But if I paired this eye with really glowy, glossy skin and a natural lip and like fluffy brows, I believe that we could wear this and it would be very pretty. So, okay. Now I kind of want to be, I'm just really wanting to get into this palette. This shade right here, this like mauve shade. I used to love to wear purples too. When I was a MAC girl, I loved wearing purples. That was like my favorite thing. I did purples a lot, and I also loved me a teal smoky bottom lash line. I was in fact thinking about like what look should I do, and I really couldn't find any pictures of that makeup look specifically, but I ran into a ton of this look. So I thought it would be only more fitting to do this look specifically. But those were my two main looks that I used to do all the time. So now on this eye, what I would normally do and what I currently do a lot, I still love eyeshadow palettes. Obviously, I'm an eyeshadow palette fanatic. I am a collector of them. I love them. But for everyday use, what I typically do, just because it's so easy, is I grab whatever bronzer, whatever powder bronzer I'm going to use that day, and I'll just run this in the crease. So I'm using the YSL All Hours bronzer in the shade 02. We're just going to add a soft amount of definition all across the crease. Let's try to tackle this eyeliner look. And I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to start on the bottom lash line. I'm going to grab this West Atelier black eyeliner, and let's do something that you don't ever see me do anymore. We're going to run this quite literally all across my bottom lash line. Connect it on the outer corner just like that. Now what I used to do was smudge out this eyeliner until the cows came home. So I'm going to grab a N12 brush, a brush that I wish I had back in the day, because this would have been a staple in my life. This would have been my dream brush for smudging out. I don't remember what brush I used to use. I'm sure it was like a 219 pencil brush from MAC, because again, I only used MAC brushes back then because they were amazing. Smudging this out, and then I'm going to bring this across and a bit more. If you would have asked me 10 years ago that I'd be doing a video on YouTube, putting myself on blast and sharing how I did my makeup back in 2015, I would have said there's no way. There's not even a chance that I am doing that. Not even a chance. No way. What are you talking about? But all my friends, all my MAC girl friends, all my MAC friends in general, we all used to do this look. Like we all used to love that heavy black smoky liner look on the bottom lash line. It was our thing. Like that's what you did. So now I'm going to switch back to the LC palette. I'm going to grab the Angie Han Flashy A504, another brush that I'm sure I would have geeked out on if I had this back in the day. And we're going to start to smudge this eyeliner. Also, I want to mention that back in the day, I used to always do my eye makeup first because I quite clearly always did a smoky eye. I create a mess. So I had to do my base makeup after. Whereas nowadays, I alternate between the two. It doesn't matter to me because I never do such an intense smoky eye unless it's an occasion that I would have to do my eye makeup before my foundation. So to me, it just doesn't matter now. I can do it either way. It kind of is more like depending on my mood that day. Trying to achieve the same shape is not that easy. Boy, I was smoky. Wow. It was a lot of makeup. Wow. Okay. Switching over to Modern 2025. I'm going to grab the, also a MAC product, the Color Excess Gel Eyeliner in the shade Sick Tat Brow. We're just going to do a little bit of tight lining in the very outer corner of my eye. Just like that. I'm going to switch to Whiskey from Urban Decay, one of my favorite brown eyeliners. And I'm going to start this on the outer corner of my eye, kind of where my top and bottom lash line meet. I still love an intense glam eyeliner look. I just don't do it every day like I used to. So I'm going to do a very soft, smudgy brown wing, not black. You know, as we age, if you can switch to a brown eyeliner, I do think it's the best thing you could do for overall wearing eyeliner that's not aging you, because black eyeliner, it just can be a lot more harsh. Grabbing a clean N12 brush, I'm going to smudge this out just a bit, diffuse the line, going back and layering a bit more. I'm going to give my lashes a quick curl on this side. Truth be told, I don't think I ever curled my lashes back in the day. You could not catch me without wearing Demi Wispies from Ardell or the Wispies from Monda Studio. It's like a professional makeup brand they sell at like beauty stores out here in LA. You could not catch me without doing that. So I never wore I never bothered to curl my lashes because I just always plopped a heavy lash on them anyway, and it was like, it is what it is. I'm going to actually do my mascara right away to hold the curl. This is the Flutter Extension from Lancome. A really nice mascara, a really good formula for separation and definition without clumps, and also really good length. So I'm going to coat my 2025 lashes over here, just like that. And I decided I'm not going to do liquid liner for this look. I don't think that I used it for the looks that I just showed you, not these specific looks. So we're just going to take the black eyeshadow and the same N12 brush, and we're going to layer some black eyeshadow on top. I mean, I really like the smoky liner, didn't I? I really enjoyed this look. Not bad. All right, we're gonna go in with a mascara that I was obsessed with back in the day. I still love it. It still holds up to this day. It is a drugstore favorite. I am so happy to have it back in my life. Fantastic formula. Very, very similar to the one from Lancome that I just applied, but a lot more cost effective. So this is the telescopic L'Oreal mascara, the original, the OG, not the newer one than the black model. I don't like that one. I like this one. Very similar wand, very small, very precise. She's an OG favorite that still holds up. I highly recommend this mascara. So we're going to apply this on my lashes prior to the false lashes. This is going to give my false lashes basically like a nice shelf to sit on top of. The glue will stick faster, they'll adhere better and faster. And God, one thing I used to do was I used to put tons of bottom mascara on. So we'll do that in a minute once we finish up a few other things. That'll come soon. So, all right, now let's get into lashes. And I did not pick up the exact same pair of lashes that I used to use back in the day. I used to love the Ardell Demi Wispies. They're still a really pretty lash, by the way. Nothing against them, but I was like hooked on them back then. As well as like another wispy lash from Monda Studio, which is a professional, like a pro makeup brand that is sold in LA at like Nigel Beauty Emporium. Anyway, I did not pick those up, but I feel like 2015 Nikki would have absolutely died to have these lashes. These are from Kiss. They're in the style pearl earring. And so I'm going to do 2015 Nikki a favor. We're going to use these today because I think they would just definitely fit the bill, like fit the style that I was going for. I loved a wispy lash. I love to be able to like see through them a little bit. So we're going to cut these up into 3, which I'm sure I did that back in the day too. That's been a trick that I've utilized for a million years at this point. I'm going to start in the inner corner. Oh yeah, it's a really pretty lash. Seems about right. This definitely seems like something I would have absolutely loved. Now, modern day Nikki loves a good trio lash, like 2, 3 at the max, sometimes just 1, and I get them on Amazon and they're super cheap and they're amazing. This is one of my favorite ones I'm hooked on. I will definitely link these below, and as well as the new style ones too, because there's nothing wrong with these. I'm just saying 2015 Nikki would have gone hard for this style. So nowadays my eyes, they just can't really take a full lash, you know. I feel like they just don't suit me. I feel like it weighs down my eyes and therefore makes me look a lot older than I am. So we're gonna grab a few of these little trio clusters. They're just so easy to pop on. They really are so nice. So they're a little sticky because they're actually meant to be like underneath lashes. However, I like to wear them on top. They really bother me when they're on the inside of my eye. Same glue from Velour. Pick up one of the trios, pop it on the very outer corner of my eye. Grab the second and last one and pop that on the outer corner. And that is the maximum of lashes that I typically do in my ripe age of 39. And it's just flattering. It makes me feel pretty and a little more like festive. And that is the lashes, my friends. Now, one thing I used to always do back in the day to clean up the rest of my eyeshadow is take a makeup wipe, secure it around your finger like so, and drag it across like that. Looks about right. And we'll just because we'll clean up this side a little bit too. Normally I use little pointed Q-tips and micellar water, and I'm very gentle because I don't want to tug on my eyes because you know why. My eyes are getting old. And if you thought I forgot about my tear duct highlight, let me remind you that this was my signature look, okay? Do you peek that glitter? Look at that glitter. Tell me that is not Kitten Karma from Stila Cosmetics. So we're going to do just that. We're going to grab Kitten Karma, a very chunky liquid glitter. Let's hope this doesn't get all over my eyes. And from what I remember, I used to just go boom and boom. I'm going to take a 209 brush from BK Beauty and dip into a bit more of Kitten Karma, and for impact, layer a bit more. Things are gonna get serious because we're about to do some foundation, concealer, and all the rest of the face makeup. But before we do, we're gonna do color corrector. Now, I still love and go hard for this product, but back in the day, I relied on this heavily every single day of my life. It's the OG, one of my favorite color correctors I've ever used in my life. It's a soft color corrector. It's not like an orange or a bright red color corrector. It's more of like a neutralizing color corrector. It's Bright Forecast Prep and Prime from MAC Cosmetics. This is something I still use to this day, like I mentioned. But what I used to do is, of course, course, color correct my dark circles, which I want to say were not as bad back then as they are now. And nowadays, just to show you something new and modern that I love equally as much as that MAC product, and it's very, very similar. So if you can't get the MAC one, or if you want to use something different, the Cali Ray Hideaway is phenomenal. You can see it has like that same peachy neutral tone to it, so it's really great at canceling out dark pigmentation. So MAC as the OG, Cali Ray as 2025, but honestly, you still see me use the MAC and I still absolutely ride hard for it. I'm going to use an N14 brush just to tap this in on both sides very quickly. Nothing has changed with this technique except the brush. Now, if you had told 2015 Nikki that she'd be in 2025 blending out her under eye color corrector with a brush that has her name on it, with a brand that she absolutely rides hard for because they're amazing, I would have been like, there's no way. Absolutely not. Like, what are you talking about? Me? I have a brush collab with a brand that I love that has incredible soft vegan brushes, because back in the day when I used MAC brushes, those were all animal hairs, like animal hairs. I'm talking squirrels, beaver. I don't even know what else. I want to say I only remember the squirrel and the beaver, and then I kind of checked out after that because I just felt so bad. And to have in my hands some of the, if not the softest vegan fiber brushes that are cruelty free, that feel and blend out just like animal hair, I'd be on the floor. You'd have to take me to the ER because I would be in such disbelief. Now, I can't forget about adding a little bit of shimmer to my modern 2025 eye. So for that, I'm going to use good old faithful Moon Dust Urban Decay eyeshadows in the shade Space Cowboy. I'm going to take this on my fingertip and I'm just going to go bloop bloop right here for some jazz, you know? Just because it's 2025 doesn't mean I don't love the full glam and I love the jazz. Like, I give me the jazz all day. So this is my wearable jazz, whereas this was like my jazz back in the day and I would wear it at like 2 p.m. on a Monday afternoon. All right, my friends, it's time for foundation. And when I think about my #1 used foundation back in the day, even though I was a MAC girl, I had a really hard time color matching my olive complexion. And nobody told me because I was olive, so everyone matched me with an NC, but really I would mix an NW and an NC to get something more neutral and something a little bit more appropriate for my skin tone. Back in the day, I used to lie and I used to say that I had MAC foundation on when really I was wearing this bad boy right here. I believe I used to wear the shade 425. It's stuck in my head. It's definitely going to look a little yellow on me, but back then I felt like this was a really good match. So the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation, she's an OG and she's a classic for a reason. We're going to shake this up, pump some out on the top of my hand, and let's go to town. I'm going to grab another brush that I wish I had back in the day. This is my N17 brush with BK Beauty. I'm going to dip into that foundation and we're going to go to town. Try to avoid the white stripe on my face. Yeah, I'd say this is definitely the shade that I used to wear. This is still a fantastic, fantastic foundation. Holds up incredibly well. Has been around forever. It is just such a faithful formula. And of course, it goes without saying, I loved a full coverage. I loved a matte full coverage because I've always been oily. Now for this side, I'm going to use a foundation that's actually shockingly similar. I'm just going to use a quarter of the amount that I used to use back in the day. And 2015 Nikki would have loved this foundation. It's the Anastasia Impeccable Foundation. I wear the shade 2N, and this is a really beautiful full coverage, more matte finish foundation. One pump, and honestly, this is too much product. I shouldn't have pumped out this much, but I'm gonna take this product with my N15 brush, which is my powder brush. And we're going to start in the center and just do circular motions, buff this in, make it really soft, really natural, and less is more. I find this foundation sits incredibly well on my skin all throughout the day. It is so long wearing, so long lasting, looks flawless, honestly, majority of the day that I'm wearing it until like, towards the end when I should wash my face anyway. That's when it starts to not look its best, but all in all, this is a really incredible high performance foundation that is ideal for oily skin, like absolutely ideal for oily skin. But I do say if you prep your skin accordingly, dry skin, mature skin, anyone can wear this just with different application techniques and different skincare underneath. And we're going to dive right into under eye concealer because I did not used to use a cream bronzer back in the day. I didn't use cream contour. I didn't use anything like that. I used a powder bronzer, and the one that I remember using the most in my life back in 2015 was good old Benefit Hoola. So Hoola is going to be great, but however, we need to powder and set our makeup and also do our under eye concealer before we can dive into this bad boy. So let's go back into our Pro Concealer from LA Girl in the shade Vanilla. I did not line this up to my nose like I do nowadays. I used to just do the typical placement. The typical 2015 placement. It was the big, gnarly triangle. Whew. We're also gonna do a little highlighting right there, a bit on the chin. Okay. Now, while that side's drying down, I'm gonna go with my Natasha Denona on my 2025 side. This is one of my all-time favorite concealers since I picked it up about a year, 2 years ago. It is such a fantastic formula. This is the shade N4. Now, what I like to do now is line this up along the side of my nose. I like to get this inner corner right here and a little lift going right there. We'll do a little bit of highlighting here as well, just to match. Less bright and less intense, more natural, a lot softer, gonna be much easier to blend, whereas this is going to be quite a journey to blend out. And 14, let's blend out all of this vanilla concealer. Now, when I look back at these photos, I used to use my highlighter and my concealer and I would bring it so low that it actually made my cheeks look very droopy. Like the apple of my cheek looked so much lower than it actually is because of the placement. And placement is just, it's such a game changer with your makeup. It can really make or break any makeup look, no matter what products you're using, high end, low end. Bad placement can ruin your makeup. And that's exactly what I used to do. I used to really drag down the appearance of my cheeks and I feel so bad. I wish I could have gone back and told 2015 Nikki, girl, you gotta look that up. Switch to my N16, blend out the highlight. Gonna blend out this side now with my N14 and just use a tapping motion just to keep it nice and in one particular spot. And by using like 1/8 of the amount of product that I use on this side, I have way more control, which is what I talk about all the time. And less is just more. The older you get, the less product you want to pack on your skin because it tends to seep into fine lines, wrinkles, and really exaggerate those areas too, and in a very unflattering way. Now for 2025, it's gonna be more about the placement, of course, on the bronzer. Not so much product specific because I could definitely make Hoola from Benefit work nowadays and just with different techniques. But I do love a liquid bronzer and I love a cream bronzer and I love to set those products with a powder bronzer. For this look, I'm going to start with the Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt in the shade Light Medium. This is one of my favorite products that I have tried in a long time. It is so easy to use. It's so easy to blend out. It just melts into your skin in a really nice way. So I like to hit, it's gonna be very hard to do this with a stripe there, but we're trying our best. Gonna grab the 109 from BK Beauty and just tap this in and you'll see it just melt into my skin in such a soft, natural way. So for my 39 and over crowd, this is a really phenomenal bronzer that just looks so soft and so effortless. Gonna take my N16, blend this out. Now, normally I would do this before the concealer, but I switched the order just for the sake of this video. Okay, now we need to set this 2015 side, and back then I used to use actually 2 powders. I used to use the Laura Mercier, the classic translucent powder under my eyes, and I would set the rest of my face with the MAC Studio Fix Pro Set and Blur. So we're gonna do just that. We're gonna start with the Laura Mercier, and I don't believe I used to use a powder puff back in the day, but maybe I did. I just don't quite remember. I think I used to use the big round ones that used to get the beauty supply. I'm just gonna grab this quite dirty Kosas one and dip into this powder, and we're gonna do a decent amount. We're gonna lock in this under eye just like that. Now this is a good talc-free powder, the Makeup by Mario Surreal Skin. Now this is a really great high performance talc-free powder, so if you're looking for that, this is the one to get in 2025. N14 brush, using a really small amount, tapping that small amount into the cap, working it into the brush, tapping off the excess, pressing this in the inner corner of my eye right here. Gonna pat this around my nose for some oil control and a little bit around here, around the lip as well, because I don't like a shiny lip. I do have quite oily skin. Now let's open up this bad boy, shall we? The translucent powder from MAC. I'm really excited to try this again. I can't remember the last time I used this particular formula. It's very, very similar to the Makeup Forever HD original translucent powder. It's almost identical, to be quite honest. So this is the powder. Nice, sleek packaging. Oh, it comes with a powder puff too. Now I'm gonna apply this with a 106 brush from BK Beauty. I'm gonna tap into the powder. You can see it's incredibly finely milled. And we're going to press this into all the rest of my skin. This is exactly what I used to do because I feel like I was probably oilier back then than I am now. If you're really oily when you're younger, as you get older, it becomes less and less of an issue. And also you just start to embrace it the older you are. Like I'm 39 now, I do embrace my oil. Is it annoying? Do I complain about it sometimes? 100%, you hear me complain about it all the time. We're going to dive into highlights. For the modern side, we're gonna be using a very modern product. It's the Vive Liquid Highlighter in the shade Ballerina. One of my favorites currently. It's the Nova Glow Liquid Light. This comes with a really pretty applicator. Now this product is amazing because I can use it on top of my foundation without it breaking up and lifting up my foundation underneath. So I'm going to tap this in with the light side of my N17. It's going to give the most beautiful glow. It layers really well on top of powder. So it's a great, great product. And on this side, I thought long and hard about this. I used to love Dandelion from Benefit. I used to love and still love currently to this day Soft and Gentle from MAC. But then I stumbled across an older highlighter and it's so true to 2015 that I just had to use this instead. So if you had to guess what's the most iconic powder highlighter of 2015 and around that time, would your guess be Becca? Because if it is, you're absolutely right. I'm going to be using the one and only Becca highlighter in the shade Champagne Pop. Does this not take you straight back to 2015? If this doesn't teleport you there, I don't know what will, because this straight up took my body and transported me into 2015 and I'm here for it. Now I'm going to use the back side of my N17. We're going to swipe into this juicy, gorgeous. I mean, this still holds up to this day. This is a stunning highlighter and we're going to go ham with this. And I used to use a ton of this highlighter all over, but really I wore it really low. I felt like, well, that might be a little too much. Let's do the nose, and I used to just drag this completely down my nose from what I remember, like a ski slope. Highlighter's on both sides, and I feel like a different person. But man, does this bring me back so many memories, joyous memories, really fun memories. Like this is like literally 2015 in a powder highlight. And now let's bronze this side since we've already done the modern bronzer. Let's go back to the 2015 side, and we're gonna use the powder highlighter from Benefit in the shade Hula. She's a classic, she's an OG, and apparently she's hard to open. Full disclosure, I bought this. This is brand new. I bought this for this video. I'm going to use my N15 powder brush, dip into Hula. This packaging really is kind of clunky and annoying, but it is what it is. Benefit has not updated very much of their products. So I want to say I did, you know, the high points of my forehead. That's what it looks like here. It looks like I did the high point of my forehead, like right here. And it looks like I don't have any in my temples from what I can tell. Let's do a little bit. Here we go. Now I know I didn't used to use a true contour to contour. I know I used to use like bronzer, or also I used to use like the Anastasia Beverly Hills, the contour palette, that powder contour and bronzer highlighter situation. I couldn't bring myself to buying that for this video. So Hula, I do remember contouring with back in the day. So I probably went way too low, judging by the look of my cheeks in those pictures. So I'm gonna do the same thing, which is really gonna drag down the appearance of my cheeks, like I mentioned. I'm gonna bring it way too far out because I can actually see it connecting to my lip almost. I'll pop it on the screen again so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, I don't really remember doing my jawline, but in case I did, let's just do a little bit. Now we're gonna switch brushes to a clean N13, same product, the Hula, and it looks like I just used to go zoop with my nose contour. That's right, just straight down. No finesse. Yep, no, it was like a racing stripe. No line connecting or going across, nothing like that. Nope, just straight up and down. I looked in the mirror and I was like, yep, that's good. That works. Check that off the list. We're done nose contouring. And it looks like I really went wide because my nose looks actually wider than it does now. You know what I mean? Like I went too low, which actually widened the appearance of my nose. It's very interesting times. Okay. We're going to do something really quick. We're going to buff out the rest of the bottom lash line because I would always go in after my eye makeup was set, something I still do to this day, and I'll do that on this side as well, but I would go in and buff out with whatever brush I was using and buff out and really blend out the bottom lash line. Let me grab a bit more from the CL palette because I can see a lot of warm brown peeking through, and I went really low. How low can you go? I went really low. Yep, seems about right. I think it's really important to, first of all, don't beat yourself up ever. And if you felt confident back then when you were wearing that makeup, that's all that matters, you know? There's a million things that I would change back then. But back then I remember feeling so confident. I remember feeling really pretty, like really, really pretty with this makeup look. I felt pretty. I took a selfie. That's how pretty I thought I was, okay? So that's all that matters, and styles are always going to change. Makeup techniques are always going to be evolving, as they should. Your style should always be evolving as it should, and it should be evolving with your age, you know, and you should be changing it based on what you feel most confident in that skin that you're in the moment. So I don't want you to look at this video and be like, I'm just dragging myself back in 2015. I'm really not. I think it's funny, but ultimately it served its purpose back then. I felt so pretty in that glam, and that's all that matters. Like, and you know what? It's fun to have a story and fun pictures like that to look back on when I was 10 years younger, and to look back and think, oh yeah, that's how I used to do my makeup. Like, what a time that was. And it was a time. Like back then, 2015, 2012 through 2017, like that makeup was just, it was a moment. Like it was a moment in history and time. And if you remember it, if you know, you know. Now, another thing I have to do, I have to add a crap ton of mascara to my bottom lash line on my 2015 side. So going back to the L'Oreal Telescopic Mascara. And this is probably why I love this brush. It was so little and precise, and it just got in there and got the job done. Another mascara that I want to call out quickly that I was a diehard of. I used to back to MAC so many of these back in the day. This is the MAC Extended Play Giga Black Mascara. And the reason why I like this mascara also is a similar reason. This has a very similar wand to the L'Oreal. It's very small, very precise. Amazing for getting in there and coating those bottom lashes. So in fact, let me just do that. Sounds like fun. Okay, let's put this bad boy away. Another thing that I used to always do when I would wear a full strip of lashes, which was, again, every day of my life, I would go back in once my lashes were fully dried down, and I would coat another round of mascara, and I would really get them really dramatic. This was also a really great way to sandwich my lashes into the false lashes, really lock them in. Something I used to teach my customers at MAC all the time was that you had to seal it in with a final coat of mascara to really lock your lashes in with the false one. So you never saw like the separation. You never had your lashes falling down while the false lashes were like beautiful and like lifted up top. Still a great tip. Now, in terms of blush, you know I like to layer a cream blush, a liquid blush with a powder blush on top. I'm going to do just that. I'm going to start with the Huda Beauty. This is the shade Cotton Candy. It's the faux blush filter. I love these. They're easy to use, easy to work with, and they also go really nice on top of liquid foundation without disrupting it. So I'm going to take that and then pat it in, again, with the N17 brush. Use light pressure, and you'll still see that ballerina shade highlighter peek through. Just a really soft blush. And I never liked cream blushes on myself back in the day, and again, it goes back to, in my mind, I was like, the more matte, the better. The more powders, the better. So I never, ever wore cream blushes. I never even touched them at MAC. I would walk by those things on the shelf and be like, gross. I never, absolutely, you could not touch me with a 10-foot pole on those blushes. Ever. My go-to, and I still love this blush hardcore. I still use this on a regular basis. It's still something that's in my pro makeup kit. Warm Soul from MAC. The mineralized skin finish blushes were just it. They were it. So MAC Warm Soul, she is an icon and she is a legend. And we're going to pop her on right now. I'm going to use my N15 brush. Get a decent amount. I never like to use like poppy blushes. I liked really muted blushes. I loved Blush Baby, Melba, Prism, all from MAC, by the way. Those were all MAC blushes. But Warm Soul was my favorite. And judging by this picture, I probably went like this. And as soon as I wasn't smiling, my cheek drops and my blush placement is much too low to be flattering. And I want to say like that's about it. I was not a blush girly back then. I really was not. Nowadays, you cannot pry blush from my hands. I love it so much. And a new favorite that I've been loving, and again, I still use this to this day. It's nothing against the product. It's the technique and the placement. But for fun, I'm going to use the Make Me Blush powder blush in the shade 06. This is from YSL. It's a matte one. It's going to look really pretty and really soft on top of that liquid blush and that liquid highlighter. And for this product, I'm going to dip in with another N15 brush, tap off the excess. I'm going to lightly press this very high up, softly in the temple to fill my temples. Get a really beautiful lifted look to my makeup. But when you're layering this on top of cream or liquid blushes, be very careful, be very mindful. You don't want to tear it up, so just gently tap it on top, and that's all you need to do. I like to go a little bit higher up towards under my eye. And you know I love to take whatever's left over, pop it on the tip of my nose and the bridge of my nose. I'm gonna try to do the tip so I don't mess up that white line. But that is my blush placement now. Such a pretty color. I love this color so much. I look like a different person on the side. I mean, it really is quite shocking. Okay, it is time to line our lips. And one thing I never did back in the day, it wasn't even a technique that I'd ever even seen, was do any kind of shading or lip contouring to enhance the shape prior to my lip liner. So we're gonna do the 2025 side first. And for that, a product that you see me use all the time, the Victoria Beckham Contour Stylist in the shade Marble. We're gonna use this as carefully as possible because I do want to avoid that white stripe obviously down my face. So I'm gonna do a little bit here and here. And we'll take a smaller brush so we can be really careful. This is the 210 from BK Beauty. Just blend that out. Already, we're off to a really good start. Now back in the day, let me show you this lip line one more time because yowza, what? Why did I go so like I went like, it was like what am I doing here? This was so not, I don't know, it's just so different. It really throws me off. And I also did just such a nude lip with barely any lip liner. Like, who is this? She's so cute and innocent. That kind of makes me sad. All right, we're gonna go in with classic OG. This is a very beat up, very old oak lip liner from MAC Cosmetics. And again, this is exactly, I guarantee, what I'm wearing in this picture. If not Boldly Bare. That was another one that I liked a lot. But let's try, like really like curved down. Okay. Whew. And then nowadays you cannot pry Smoky Pink from Makeup by Mario out of my hands. I love this lip liner so much. We're gonna use this in a nice rounded shape. And yes, I overdraw the absolutes heck out of my lips, because again, that's what makes me feel confident. And when I have time and when I'm feeling a little extra, I'll grab a deeper lip liner. This is 05 from Victoria Beckham, and I'll use this to shade a little bit more in the center. And now let's cut to a liquid lipstick. We're gonna be using the shade Get It On, true NARS fashion in terms of the way they named it. This is the NARS liquid lipstick. This is gonna be so reminiscent of what I used to use back in the day. A very light, nude liquid lip. Let that dry down. And we're gonna switch over to 2025. A favorite of mine, a fresh, very easy to use lipstick. It's Review Beauty Effortless Lips in the shade Dahlia. One of my favorites for a nice, natural, everyday kind of neutral pink. Places right on top, just like that. Now, I feel like my liquid lipstick is not drying down to the color that I was hoping it to be, so I'm gonna actually cocktail it and add a little bit of classic Myth lipstick from MAC. Again, still love this lipstick so much. They have recently tweaked the formula. It's a little bit different. It's not nearly as matte, so I'm gonna put this on top because I know that the shade is going to be more what I'm looking for. Now, back in 2015, my favorite MAC lipsticks were Myth, Honey Love, Snob, Blankety, Faux, Cream Cup, Creme de Nude, Kinda Sexy, Lady Danger. Because I can't help myself, and I know that 2015 Nikki would have gone even heavier with the glitter and the tear duct, we're gonna add a bit more of the Kid Karma. I can't even look at myself on the monitor because I'm like Two-Face from Batman right now. That's how I feel. 2015 in all its nostalgic glory. Now, I tried my best, and it's not gonna look exactly like the photo because, listen, your girl had blonde hair back then, and it's just not gonna be the same thing. And then one more look at this young little cutie, this ripe little 29-year-old with her fresh little nude lip and her blush that's placed way too low and unflattering. Now, there's no right or wrong way to do your makeup. I always say, like, do what makes you feel most confident and most beautiful. That is the bottom line. But like I mentioned earlier, I do think it's important that we adapt with the times, we adapt with who we are in that moment, and we adapt with our skin and our skin's needs and our age and what our face can handle makeup-wise. And a 29-year-old can handle a lot more makeup on her face than a 39-year-old. So that's just the reality, and it is what it is, and I am so fine with it. But either way, 2015 Nikki versus 2025 Nikki. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of both looks. I'm so curious. I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of people that like this look, and there's a time and a place for this look, but not with these brows. That's for sure. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it fun and just a good time. I had a great time going down memory lane and falling down this rabbit hole of how I used to do my makeup back in 2015. Leave me a comment below. Tell me what your staples were in 2015. What did you have to have on your face? What did you buy on repeat in 2015? I would love to know all those things. I would love to take that trip down memory lane with you. So drop those in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed this look, and I cannot wait to see you in the next video. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, give this video a thumbs up if you love 2015 makeup like I did, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.